Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to the first official episode of the Sask Sports Show of 2021, brought to you by Southwest Terminal. I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. I'm so excited to be back with you guys. And I'm also very excited about who I will be interviewing tonight. Tonight, the spotlight will be on the Delisle Chiefs of the Prairie Junior Hockey League. Troy Souster will be joining me on the show tonight for an interview. Troy handles the media relations and is the communications coordinator for the Delisle Chiefs. And he's going to give us some insight on the league and with the Chiefs as well. So tonight we will be talking about how the Chiefs players are doing not being able to play, talk about the Chiefs' past successes. Also, we're going to get into the PJHL and kind of how it works. And also, we're going to spotlight a few of the Chiefs players as well. So welcome back to the first episode of the Sask Sports Show right here on Amateur Sports TV. And I really hope you enjoy the show. And without further ado, here's the man himself, Troy Souster. Thanks for being on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, JD.
So, hopefully you had a good Christmas and a Happy New Year.
It was very relaxing, with things being the way they are and not being able to travel and things like that. It's not a usual thing that this time of the year we get to sit and relax too much. We're usually busy running around from rink to rink all over Western Saskatchewan here. So it was good. It was relaxing. Enjoyed it.
Well, that's, obviously we couldn't really do much anyways this Christmas and for this New Year. So it was, and the World Juniors were on. So that was exciting.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. I don't think I've ever been more excited to see the World Juniors on when there hasn't been a whole lot else going on. So.
Well, what's crazy about that too is I think on the Canada roster and the American roster, there was only a handful of players on each team that actually played hockey. And on the Canadian side, I'm pretty sure it was the guys from the Q that started a little bit of their season. And with the States, I'm pretty sure they're college hockey teams as well. So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think some of those guys were, possibly not that battle tested really from anybody outside of Quebec. Like say, even the college players were playing. So, it's I think that to not be playing a whole lot of hockey and then all of a sudden have to get in and you're stepping up into like that up tempo game, that was probably a challenge for some of them. Yeah.
Well, and also, if you're in the United States, you're going up against Russia with a goaltender that got picked 11th overall in the draft. So, it's kind of you're thrown right into the fire.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we are here to talk about, obviously, the Chiefs and you and the PJHL as well. So start things off. I just kind of wanted, as you handling the media relations and communications coordinator, kind of explain what that role is for you, for the team.
Yeah. I started out, this is my 8th year now with the Chiefs and came on as the public address announcer. And so just kind of gradually as the years have gone along, just sort of picked up a few more kind of duties and do a little bit of the voiceover work and some of that kind of stuff to add to the game day experience. And it just sort of started evolving kind of in 2018. Unfortunately, it was kind of around the time that the Humboldt Broncos accident happened. And, we had a bit of a working relationship with the Broncos. We had some players on our team who are actually signed with us, but APing with the Broncos. And, everybody knows that story, but the communication side of things just sort of evolved from there. We were getting a lot of media requests and things like that. So I just sort of took that role on a little bit to kind of help with the coaches. We were right in the middle of a provincial final at that point. We were playing the Regina Capitals when that happened. And, being a media relations guy, I guess I just wanted to be able to take some of that kind of stuff off the plate of the coaches so that they weren't having to deal with it. And it just kind of evolved from there. And so here we are 8 years later. I'm loving it and some people talk about what's your passion, and I certainly think that this sort of atmosphere, it's my passion.
So would you say that I would say, brand the team? Like you probably handle their Twitter and Instagram accounts and Facebook and stuff like that?
Yeah, I dabble in that. We do have a social media coordinator who's also kind of helping out with, game day stuff, as well as her name's Amanda, and she actually lives in Delisle. So she helps kind of coordinate some of the things with the Chiefs dressing room, getting it all set up and getting it cleaned. She takes care of all that kind of stuff. So, but I do dabble in the social media side of it. It's kind of taken off for the Chiefs. I think we've built a pretty good brand. We try to get our logo out there wherever we can, try to interact with the fans. And I think we've been fairly innovative with some of the things that we've done over the last few years to try to keep the Chiefs sort of in the spotlight a bit.
Well, and you mentioned in the brand of the team, since the Delisle Chiefs have entered the league, the PJHL was founded, back in 2007, 2008 was the first season. Basically joined the North Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League and the South Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League into one league. Since the Chiefs have actually been in the league, they've only missed the playoffs, their first year.
Yeah, I think something like that. I mean, a couple of growing pains of seasons that at the beginning to get things established, but I think you're probably pretty close on that. Yeah.
No, I was just noticing that, we're talking about the brand of the team, and since that, the team has either been a 1 or a 2 seed in the final of the year. So I'm just kind of my question is, how is Delisle able just to put a solid hockey team on the ice night in and night out, get that talent that, wins you, like in 2018, 2019 is when you guys, I believe so, went 38-1, 0-1.
Yeah, that year we broke a PJHL record for most points in a season. It's kind of flipped back and forth depending on the number of teams in the league. Either there's been 38 games or 40 games, and that particular year we had 40 games. And we broke the PJHL record for points. We had 77. We had a regulation loss and an overtime loss. I think that if you look at, I can really only speak for the 7 or 8 years that I've been here. In 2013, actually, I think it was 2011, 12 or something like that. They lost in the provincial final to Pilot Butte, to the Travelland Storm. And then they went into kind of a little bit of a rebuild for a year or two. And I think the big turnaround started kind of in 2014, 15 when Eric Ditto took over partway through the season. He was asked to come on and be the head coach. And I think that year, it was close to Christmas time, if I remember correctly. And from that point on, I mean, the Chiefs finished, I think, 3rd in the division. And I was looking at the stats and the records over the last few days, and really ever since Eric took over, the Chiefs have never finished lower than 2nd place. It's either been 1st or 2nd over in the North Division for those 6 or 7 years. I think this is his 7th year, but his 6th full time. And I think if you sat and talked or listened to Eric, he's a student of the game. He studies video. He's always watching other teams. He watches hockey at every level. Right now, he's watching a lot of hockey from the KHL and over in Europe, and he studies the special teams and things like that. And he's a good communicator. He really communicates well with the players. He's got lots of good systems in place. So that's part of it. And then as far as the recruiting and things like that go, I think that Eric has done a fantastic job. This is his 2nd year as the GM now. And, there's a lot of good recruits that he's worked with and coached, maybe when they were in Pee Wee I think it was the Sask can type hockey. And so he knows some of these kids from years gone by. And now, it's kind of paying off that way because we're getting a lot of players coming through AAA. We've got some players who played for the Beardy's Blackhawks, a few of them actually, and then also now we're starting to see some players from Battleford Stars. Colby Ralston, you've had him on your show, and Tyson Tuck, and now we've picked up a couple of Saskatoon contact players the last couple of years in Luke Dyer and Jackson Halperal. So I think that when you start to sort of build like that, the fruits of that are starting to pay off. I think that the Chiefs do some things really well. They're a family-oriented organization. They involve the family a lot in sort of, I guess, as the season goes along. They have dad's trips. They have parents' weekends. They have, I think maybe there's some talk of maybe even having a mom's trip. So, we try to get the players together on a road trip early in the season to get them to know each other and bond. But that also goes to the parent side too. So from that standpoint, the whole organization from top down with the president, Wes Noon, and then down to Eric. And he's done a great job, putting a staff together. This year he's got Ryan Pelon as a defensive coach. For those who've followed the Western Hockey League, Ryan played in the Western Hockey League and was drafted by the New York Islanders. I believe he played in a Kosmynka Cup in the U18 World Championship. So he's here. He was a Beardy's coach. Anthony Radke, he was a captain for us when we lost the provincial final to Regina. He's done a great job with the forwards. Prior to that, Eric had Dustin Cameron, a Prince Albert Raider and Saskatoon Blades alumni, along with David Richard, who was also a Seattle Thunderbirds alumni. Both those guys together won a TELUS Cup and a Max tournament with the Saskatoon Contacts a few years back. So, Eric's done a great job putting the staff together, and Wes has done a fantastic job sort of overseeing it all. Wes is a guy who he's not afraid to, like, he'll say to us, if you guys have ideas on what we can do differently, like, he's not afraid to do some of those things, to be unique and to just try to do different stuff. So as far as our organization, it's a great setup in the room. We've got a really great dressing room, complete with a coach's office, a trainer's office, a video system that we can use to break down video of games, as well as diagram how we're going to run. Eric will use that to how they're going to run the power plays and special teams and things like that. So really, the whole background of it is that it's just a great place to play. I know the kids enjoy it.
Yeah, no, and just a little bit of research that I've done on the PJHL and the Delisle Chiefs, and they're always up there in the standings every year, if it's first or second, or I think one of the years possibly a third. I can't remember, but it seems like all roads go through one of the Saskatoon teams. If it's the Wesleys, the Quakers, the Royals. Yeah. And you've gone through Regina, like you said. You guys lost in the final there to Regina, and so my question: having all this success, a few of the years you've lost to the in the North Semi or the final, or kind of what do you guys were you guys missing at that point to kind of get over that hump? Was that year was the team that you were playing just far more, faster, stronger, kind of everything? Or was it just you were missing that one little piece?
When I look back on that, make no mistake, the Saskatoon Quakers at that point were a bit of a juggernaut, and they had rolled through the regular season pretty handily. So if I refer back to the 17-18 season where we finished second in the North, it just came down to guys just started to play together in the playoffs. I know it's cliche, but they really bought into the systems that Eric put in. And we lost the first 2 games of the North Final to the Quakers. And then I remember we went into Saskatoon and to Harold Latrace and beat them in overtime in game 3. And now we're coming home. And I think in game 4 in Delisle, I think we beat them pretty handily. And now it's tied. And, the thing is that leading up to that, I think I'd been with the Chiefs for probably 4 years. And I don't think we'd ever beat them in 4 years in the regular season. So now all of a sudden you've put together 2 wins in the playoffs against them, and it just snowballed. We ended up, we went back to Saskatoon and beat them in game 5, and we came back to Delisle and beat them 2-0 in game 6. And I think that the key for the Delisle Chiefs, it was then and it still is that we've built the team. Eric's built the team from the back out. The goaltending is solid. The defense is solid. And, I think that's what we did. We shut teams down. Unfortunately, the accident happened right sort of at the start of that provincial final. And we had gone into Regina and actually won game 1. And I think we were coming home for game 2. We were supposed to play that night when the accident happened. And then, it's just an emotional time. And not just for us. I mean, there was ties all over the league with that. And the hockey world it's not that big. Everybody knows each other. So, that it just, guys played hard. They played through it, but it was just a mental exhaustion, I think. And then that was a building point for the Chiefs, actually, because the next year coming back, that's the year we went 38-1-1. And, we had offense, we had the same defense, the same goaltending. And it's actually kind of funny because the year before we had finished 2nd in the division, and then we beat Saskatoon Quakers. And then the next year we finished 1st and they beat us. So I think we just ran into a good team that time. And, sometimes you just have to tip your hat and say that they played better and they deserved it. So, and then moving forward, again, I think we can talk about it tonight too, but I think the mainstay continues to be that the Chiefs have built, a strong defense, and goaltending has been solid. And, so you add in the offensive players. And I think that, I think we were heading in the right direction when the shutdown happened at the end of November. But yeah, I don't know if it was a case that we were missing anything. It's just a few years ago, just guys started playing at the same time and just came together, and it worked really well.
Well, that's the thing too. That's the key to any championship hockey team or sports team in general. Just have a team that works well together.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the reference, and you're probably going to know this, but Herb Brooks and a team that he put together of a bunch of, college kids that never knew each other. He put them together and he won them a gold medal for the United States in Lake Placid. Yeah. So that's just, it's the thing with every team. You just need that cohesion of the right players, the kids with the right attitudes that want to buy into the program that you have, that you're trying to sell to them, and then just play hockey. It's just what it comes down to. Yeah,
it is, and it is cliche, but I think the biggest thing too is that the players that Eric has added over the last couple of years, I think you want character people, right? You want good people. And I think that just, we talked about the fact that the Chiefs have been a kind of a family atmosphere. There's just good people. And that goes a long ways too.
So. Yeah, and you gotta give back to the community too, because you want them to come watch you and support the team. So and it's something you got to do, and that's just and you look at all the WHL teams, look at all their community involvement that they have in each community, and it's the same when it comes to it's what it sounds like with the Delisle Chiefs. So
yeah, and I think that this year especially, we've put together a team where we have, I think, at least 3, maybe 4 local guys from the Delisle area. So when you've got, they're not just token players. If you got 3 or 4 players on your team who people in the community know, I mean, that's a huge boost for sure.
Yeah, and it's all about, like grassroots hockey, and that helps out too with your fan base. But on that note, it is everyone's favorite time of the show. It is commercial time. So we will be right back here on the Sask Sports Show. After the break, we're going to continue talking about the Chiefs' past success and kind of get into how the players are doing through this COVID and talk a little bit about their first 5 games of the regular season that they got to play. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Sask Sports Show right here on Amateur Sports TV. I'm with my great guest, Troy Souster here with the Delisle Chiefs. So before the break, we touched on the past successes of the Chiefs, some of their great seasons possibly, and obviously what the kind of players and how they've been able to put great teams together with those players. So to start off this little section, what we're going to get into is, how are the boys doing? How's the team doing? Through this, obviously, their season got suspended at the end of November, and how have they been handling it?
Well, they're definitely missing it. I was texting with our captain Chad Westman here this week, and even he's saying I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm so used to being at the rink, and it's different times. Obviously, it's a close knit group, and they would probably be spending a lot of time at the outdoor rinks, and now they can't even really do that. So, some of the guys are taking university classes. So I suppose they're busy with school a little bit, but I know they're missing it. That's for sure. You can't even really get out and socialize with each other. I think that's, we talked earlier about the fact that it's such a family. This team has really been close, for 3 or 4 or 5 years. And I think it's just something that a guy like Chad, as a captain, it's something that he facilitates, is just making sure all the guys are together all the time, or when they can be, and just keeping the guys close. And I don't know, it's right now, I think it's a struggle for all those guys. They just can't be with their buddies right now. So. Yeah.
And that's I've talked to this about with many players, many of my friends and people that I know and into this, into the hockey scene. And that's the toughest thing, especially with Chad, because this is going on his 5th season with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
He's up there and being, in the all-time scoring. He has 171 total points in his, I guess, 4 and a little bit years with the Chiefs. So, you look at those guys that are, this is their last year, or, and then you look over to different leagues, and in this league too, COVID has taken away that last year of sports, with last year in the WHL, the 20-year-olds not being able to get properly sent off in their last game of the season, or their playoff run, or, same thing probably in the SJ and then the PJHL as well.
Yeah. I won't name names, but I know that when the season kind of got suspended back in November, I mean, we had 2 guys who are 21-year-olds, and they were obviously kind of emotional, worrying that the season might be over and that their time with us and in the league might be over. So, it's such a different time. Last year, we were in the middle we just finished the first round of the playoffs. We were getting ready for a North final against the Quakers when the season was scrubbed. And of course, like you talked about it, I mean, we had a couple of 20s, and that's just not the way they want to go out. We didn't get the proper way to say good, to farewell, I guess, if you want to say it, but it's not how the guys want to end their career, right?
Well, that's the toughest thing. I think COVID the most has impacted and hurt those players. I think they're the most affected by that. Not just because of the fact that they don't get to play. It's just the fact that that's not how they probably wanted to finish their season.
Yeah, and there's just I guess the fear of the unknown. Like, it's when am I going to get to play again?
And let's talk about the 5 games they did get to play this year. They had started the game or those 5 games they were 2-2, 0-1. I think you guys lost your first 3 games. You lost your first game in overtime against the Rage.
Yeah.
And then you lost 2, and then you lost 2 more in regulation. And all of the games that you lost were all by 1 goal. So you guys seemed like you were in the game. Just just kind of run me through and explain how those first 5 games went.
I think that I mean, not to make excuses, every team is kind of going through the same thing at that time of the year. Not a lot of practices and a lot of new faces and things like that. So I would guess that a couple of the guys would say that they weren't, they didn't have their best games, whether it was the defense or the goaltending. Like you mentioned, we lost all those games by 1 goal. But you know what? You're not going to win if you're only scoring 1 or 2 goals either in this league. You need to score more than 1 or 2 goals a game. So I think that through the first 3 games, it was guys trying to get used to playing with new players, guys playing different places in the lineup. It was just taking some time to kind of work some kinks out. New guys, new systems, learning terminology, that kind of stuff. So, 0-2 and you lose a game in overtime, and then we won our 4th game in Kerrobert. And again, I think I mentioned before that our team tries to get out on the road early in the season where we can really bond and get to know each other. And so here we are. It's our 4th game now, and we're finally on a bus. And there's a lot to be said about just getting on a bus with the guys for 3 or 4 hours and getting out on the road. And we went into Kerrobert and beat them pretty good. And then we came back and we beat the Saskatoon Royals in overtime. They were previously undefeated at that point. So, and we knew too that was going to be the last game before the season was suspended. So I think the guys, they just played really well. It's taken some time to adjust to the systems and to playing with new guys, but you could see that the confidence was starting to go up. And, I think that should we hopefully come back and return, I can see where that'll just keep continuing to grow. It's a different kind of season when you only play in a bubble with 2 other teams. So you're playing those other teams, and then you got the other teams on the other side of the division playing in their bubble. So, I hate to use the word parity. It's kind of overused, but if you look at the North Division standings so far, I mean, every team in the division has lost at least 1 game. A lot of the teams have lost 2. So if you take into the fact that we're kind of about the same in the loss column, it could be a wide open sort of race for the North Division for the rest of the year.
Well, and the good thing about what division you guys are in is you guys get a little bit more variety of players. Down in the South Division, there's only 4 players or 4 teams, because I know one team decided not to come and play this season.
Yeah, the Assiniboia Rebels took the year off. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there would have been 5 there in the South, but now there's only 4. And, they're playing against, basically the same people, the same teams at least once a week or once every other week. And at least you guys get a little bit more variety. Obviously, having being in Delisle, just right outside of Saskatoon, and having 3 teams in Saskatoon, which one of those 3 teams would you say that your biggest rival?
Well, without a doubt, it's been the Quakers over the last, 4 or 5 years. I guess when you just look at the standings, and you're playing a team in November, and a team like the Quakers, you're playing them in November, and you know that that's a big game already in November because it's going to be those head-to-head battles are going to be so tough. And in the end, they could determine if you finish first or second, whether you get home ice advantage for the rest of the playoffs. So definitely the Quakers would be the biggest rivalry. But you know what? Over the years, the Saskatoon Royals they were always tough. They'd won a bunch of league championships too. And, you got Kerrobert, it's just out west here. And so that's kind of a regional rival. We have players from out that way, out in the Unity, Kerrobert kind of Kindersley area. And that's an area that they have players too. So a lot of those guys know each other. So those games against Kerrobert are West Central. They have a bit of an edge, that's for sure as well.
Well, I know because that's where Colby Ralston's from. He's a Unity boy.
Yeah.
Actually, he's one of good friends with one of the kids in my class. And,
okay.
Well, I guess while we're on the topic of him, me bringing him up, you might as well. He's a rookie this year, tied for team lead in points, has 8 points.
Yeah.
And played in North Battleford, played in Unity for the Lasers. He's putting up good numbers anywhere he's gone.
Yep.
And what kind of, what do you like about him and what you've seen? Like, what kind of player is he on the ice and off the ice?
Well, off the ice, great kid. He's one of those guys. He'll do whatever you need him to do. Like, he's always asking, "What can I do?" And I know even with yourself, as far as the interview you did with him earlier in the year, he was very excited to do that. So, he comes in after a couple of years of AAA and being a top 4 or 5 scorer on the Stars, and he's fit in really nice with us in a top 6 forward role. Yes, he's tied, I think, with Chad with most points on the team. If you dig a little deeper, he's 1 point back of the top rookie scoring in the league as well. He's 1 point back of Ryan Conlon, who's playing with the Wesleys. And I think Ryan's maybe played 2 or 3 more games than Colby. But, if it all balances out, I mean, I could see where Colby could be one of those guys who he could be, keep doing what he's doing. He could be in the running for maybe a rookie of the year in the league. He's playing power play. He's a playmaker. Watching Colby, I think he's a smart guy. He knows where to go when he doesn't have the puck. So, he obviously, you see he's got 7 assists. So he was playing with Chad and Luke Dyer at the start of the season, and Eric kind of mix things up a little bit and put him on the line with Jake Misky and Ty Muench. And so, that's kind of about the time that those two big wins came along too. So, about the time that Colby started playing with Jake and Ty was about the time also that those two guys kind of took off with their touch a little bit too. So, definitely, Colby he's been really good.
Well, and he's been drafted. He got picked in the SJ draft. He got picked 4th round, 40th overall to Kindersley. In your personal opinion, with how he's playing right now, could it not be as long as maybe he would think to get that call to play for the Clippers?
I don't know what his options are. Personally, I haven't talked to him about that. But I mean, if you look at anybody who comes in as an 18-year-old. If they come into this league and they can put up some numbers, and there's no reason why he might not get a shot down the road with whether it's Kindersley or whether it's somebody else. Those teams are always checking up on how the players are doing, and I think the PJHL in the last few years has done a really good job of developing their players. And if it's something that Colby wants to do and he's got his mindset to I think that's one of the things with the Chiefs organization is, you want to build a winner, but in the end, we want to help guys get to the next level, whether it's junior A or college, whether it's work, it's, we just want to make sure that they're, good character guys, and that, if school's important or if hockey's important, that we'll do whatever we can to help them get to that next level.
Well, by the way, the route he's going, having 8 points in, 5 games, he definitely is on his way to, to that next level if he keeps kind of playing at the level that he's playing at right now. But, it's everybody's favorite, we're gonna go to everyone's favorite time of the show, commercial time here on the Sask Sports Show. And when we come back with Troy, we're gonna dive into some more of those spotlight some more of those players on the Chiefs roster. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back here on the Sask Sports Show here on a Thursday evening on January 7th. I'm here with Troy Souster. We're talking some Delisle Chiefs of the PJHL. And before the break, we kind of started talking about some important players on the Chiefs roster. We started with Colby Ralston, and now we're going to dive into the team captain, Chad Westman. He is also tied with Colby for scoring on the team with 8 points. He's been with the team. This is his 5th year. He played for the West Central Kings, U15, and then he played, obviously he's had 171 points with the Chiefs over 4 and I would say a quarter years with the team.
Yeah.
And, he's drafted in the 5th round, 59th overall to the Kindersley Clippers. So, in the SJ draft. So my question is been with the team since he was a 16-year-old, by the sounds of it, if this is his 4th, he's going into his 5th year.
Yeah.
What, he's your captain. What kind of game and style of game does just Chad bring to the ice every night?
Chad is just he's a consistent captain. Here's a guy who he's been in the top 10. You're correct. He started as a 16-year-old. Hard to believe. He's a 20-year-old right now, and he's in his 5th year. He was an all-star last year in the PJHL. Been in the top 10 scoring the last 2 years. He's just consistent. He's smart. He plays the puck really well. He's one of those guys who he has great body position when he's got the puck. He knows how to keep guys off of him. He's very slick. And he's a playmaker. He can find guys. In his first couple of years, I know he had some shorthanded goals, and he started as a 16 and a 17, and you kind of work in when you can. But now he's just one of those guys that you could double shift him, and man, he's just consistent. I don't know if we had a chance to talk, but without this COVID, he probably breaks the league record for most games played. I'm not sure what pace he's on for that now, but he could come back next year as a 21-year-old and play his 6th year, and we hope he does. But that's just us being greedy. But yeah, just a great kid from a great family out in Plenty, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, no, he's had playing in junior for the Chiefs for so long. Seems like he's had a pretty great career. Like, you couldn't ask for a better hockey player. I think he's 4th or 5th all time in the PJHL for points.
Could be.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look.
Because I'm pretty sure the record has to be in the 300s for points.
Well, and we talked about Eric Ditto before, and actually Eric was the all-time top scorer in the PJHL up until about 3 or 4 years ago. So there's a coach who knew how to put the puck in the net, and definitely an offensive guy. So, yeah.
And he was a part of that 2011, 2012 team that went on that long winning streak.
Yeah, 23 games in a row, yeah.
So, and just to have a guy like that that's played for the team that understands the program, now he's coaching it, and now the GM. So
yeah.
I think the team benefits from that very well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so and back to Chad there. He's from the sounds of it, he puts like that cliche saying go about hockey players. Seems like he puts 110% in every night for the team.
Yeah, and he's a glue kind of guy. He keeps the guys together. He's always messaging and texting the guys, and I know we touched on it before. It is a pretty tight-knit group, and I know Chad, I've talked to him about becoming the captain, and he's looked up to, I mentioned before, Anthony Radke, who's one of our assistant coaches. He was one of our captains, and so Chad takes that captain's role very seriously, and he's definitely he's a leader, without a doubt.
And that's what you need to. If I remember correctly, too, his last, you said that he was top 10 in scoring. I think last year he broke 68 points, and I think the year before that it was 63, or could have been, switched. But the last 2 years, he's definitely broken out with his scoring.
Yeah.
So, exciting to see him back once if hockey is back.
I know he's excited. He's ready to go.
We're going to move on now to Jake Misky. He's another guy. He played for the Legionnaires, and he played for the Mustangs in Melford. Melford.
Yep.
And also in the Weyburn in the SJ as well. So, having that junior A hockey experience, he brings that to the table. What kind of player would you kind of get classify Jake as? Is he a defensive, like a defensive offensive player, or is he an offensive, likes to put the puck in the net? He kills penalties, puts on the power play.
He's definitely I think you come from the junior A and you come to the Prairie Junior Hockey League, and there might have been a bit of a role change, but definitely he can put the puck in the net. He came to us, and he's definitely playing in the top 6 forward positions. I think he'd be the first guy to admit that maybe the first couple of games, trying to adjust in a new system and a new team. He was working hard. He just didn't get any breaks. And then probably game 3, he started getting lots of chances. And I know I mentioned before that Eric made a little bit of a change and put Ty Muench and Colby Ralston with Jake. And, we went into Corrobert, and he scored 2 goals, and we won that game. And then the last game before the break, he had another 2-goal game, scored the winner in overtime. He can shoot the puck, and he can put it in the net. So I think going forward, I think he's a guy that, we'll rely on, we'll count on for some offense. And I know he can do it for sure.
And when did you feel like when he was put on that line with Colby Ralston and Ty Muench there, did you feel that maybe that they kind of they had that hockey sense instinct where they knew where each other was all the time? They were starting to, kind of form that chemistry?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think confidence was a big part of it. The first couple of games, Jake was playing on the top line with Chad and Luke. And I don't know, maybe it was a little bit of jitters. Maybe it was just a little bit of squeezing the stick too hard and putting a little bit of pressure on himself, maybe. But you could see, just started to relax and just started to getting to know the guys. I mean, it's a little bit, just getting to know where guys are going to be on the ice. and you start to have a little bit of familiarity. There's a lot to be said for the fact that there wasn't a lot of practice times. And so now they were starting to get a little bit of practice time and starting to get to know each other a little bit better. And I think just with time, Jake's, a couple of those goals that Jake scored were power play goals. So yeah, he was getting a lot of looks on the power play. And I think just finally that monkey was off his back and he was able to start putting it in the net.
Yeah, that PJHL monkey, eh? It's finally off his back. And I imagine it was probably an adjustment for him to go from playing junior A, coming down to a junior B league. And that's not a stab at the league itself, but in a player's mind, he was playing at a level that could get him to university or go get him a Division I scholarship. And was there for him, that little bit of an adjustment that the team he had to go through?
I'm not sure. As a guy who's got a lot of experience like Jake had, I think that he's seen it all. He knows what it's about. He was excited to come and play with us. I know after the trade happened, that him and Ty were brought in. He said he was excited to be coming and playing with us. So, he just jumped in with both feet and put his work boots on, as they say. And I think he was all in for sure.
Well, it's good to see. And I just wasn't sure if possibly there was a little bit of a change for him. Playing in Weyburn and in Melfort, and then coming to Delisle, if there was any sort of change, but it doesn't seem like he jumped right in with both feet.
Yeah, I think he was excited to be here. Yeah, for sure.
Well, now we're going to switch over and talk to, I guess, the third member of that line, Mr. Ty Muench. He is Saskatoon boy, played U15 here in the city, and played U18 for the Saskatoon River Kings, their AA team. Then he went down to Swift Current, played for the Legionnaires. Actually, he had a pretty good time in Swift. He had 55 points in 85 games, and then he played for 2 seasons with the Quakers. Obviously, had literally a point a game man.
Yeah,
49 points in 49 games. So, you can't complain can't complain about that. So, having Ty now to play on that line with Colby and Jake, and have that consistency of a point a night kind of guy. What does that offer your team offensively?
Well, for sure, depth is huge, and he slots into that top 6 group. And you talked about how he was a point a game guy with his year and a half with the Saskatoon Quakers, and he's 4 games, 4 points with us. So status quo. Ty continues to be that point a game guy with us. I think again, I think there was a little bit of an adjustment for Ty coming to us, and he had played. There's a little bit of familiarity with Jake actually, because the two of them played together with the Legionnaires. So, we've talked before too about. There's lots of guys on our team. They're all familiar. They've known each other, playing against each other and things like that. So, I think you could just see Ty's confidence growing in the last 2 games that he played, just along with everybody else. There was a big smile on his face. He was having fun. I know it's a bit of an adjustment to come to a new team. You don't know what to expect, but I think that, if he's a point a game guy, going forward, we know we can rely on him to get out there and do his thing. And if he gets his opportunity to play special teams, and he'll make the best of it. I know his confidence is just, it was going up at the time of the, suspension of the season. So,
well, just looking at, just the 4 forwards that we've gone over, and the amount of scoring talent that they have just in those 4 players, once the season does start, and I'm really, really hoping that it does start. I think the Delisle Chiefs are definitely doing all right on the offensive front.
Yeah, one of the things that Eric has done over the last couple of years, and that's build depth from top to bottom. So Eric is really good at making sure that everybody knows what their role is. And so, then everybody's contributing in whatever way they know that they can. And I think that, hopefully we can get back on the ice here end of January or something, middle of January, and we'll just continue to build on kind of the momentum that we were starting to gain there when the season was shut down.
Yeah, and it's tough because you guys had that momentum, and you guys, you won a couple in a row, and then kaput.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're starting from scratch again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that we would be as frustrated as anybody else. You're just starting to get into a groove, and it's stopped. So hopefully we get that chance to play again.
I hope so too. So we've started in the front end. Now we're going to work our way back in the back end. We're going to talk to one of your top D pairings, or your first D pairing of for the team. We're going to start with Carter Sawatsky. He's a D-man. He's currently has 5 points this year on the team.
Yeah.
And he played his U15 up for the Northeastern Wolfpack. And then, like I think you mentioned before, he played for the Beardy Blackhawks, that AAA group that you guys have drafted, grabbed, quite a few players from that team. And then played a few games in Nipawin and played for the Quakers. And then you guys were able to get him, and he's played, what is it? This would be his second season.
Yeah. Yeah, he played about, I think, 15 games with us last year after we acquired him. And again, he was I think it was a 0.6 or 0.7 a point game guy with the Quakers. And for the last 15 or 20 games that he was with us, he bumped up to a point a game guy. He ended up being tied for the league lead for scoring for defensemen at the end of the season. So, Carter's just a reliable, steady kind of guy back there. He is playing on the top defensive pairing with Troy Kosmynka, and also playing the top, pairing for the power play as well. So he's just steady. He's quiet. He's just a leader, and he's also, he was also a PJHL All-Star last year too. So when you can acquire a PJHL All-Star, and then it just sort of, it keeps that, we talked earlier about our team builds from the back end out, and so we added somebody who is pretty solid defensively, but then you get a point a game from him at the back end, kind of helping on the power play and stuff too. It's really nice when you have somebody like that on your back end.
So would you compare him to, because like just looking at his statistics and him having 64 points in 64 games there with the Quakers, and then coming and having 15 points like you said last year in 15 games, he's already got 3 points this year in 5 games. Would you compare him to maybe a Josh Morrissey or even a Bowen Byram or a Cale Makar, a very offensive defenseman, but still, plays that defensive part?
He is more of a stay-at-home defensive kind of guy. His points come, just, I guess, from opportunities. He moves the puck really well, but he would probably be the first guy to admit he's not a skater like a Byram or guys like that. But I would classify him as being a smart guy who just, he's always in position. He doesn't put himself out of position and get himself into trouble that way. So
okay. Well, he seems, and that's another end to have, like you said, you're building your team from the back end out. And having a guy like that can be a point a game player on your back end, even if it's just, a shot from the point and then he gets an assist from that, he's still, that he was the one, he still got the puck to the net for the boys to clean up in front of the net. So it seems, just by looking at his statistics and what you've said about him, seems like a pretty straight up defenseman. And
he's just, he's somebody who's just quiet, but yet when if you talk to him in the dressing room or see him on the bus or whatever, he's always got a smile on his face. So he's they're all great kids, but yeah.
Well, on that note, we will, we're gonna get in. We got a couple more players that we're gonna spotlight here after the break. So it's about that time where, it's how we get paid here on the Sask Sports Show is the commercials. So we're gonna be back. We got a couple more players to spotlight, and then we're gonna get into the PJHL, and just kind of talk about what kind of league it is. So stay tuned. Okay, and we're back here on the Sask Sports Show, brought to you by Amateur Sports TV, with my guest, Troy Souster, for the Delisle Chiefs. So before the break, we got into the front end a little bit. We talked about 4 of your forwards, talked about 1 defenseman, and now we're going to talk about the other defenseman on that top D pairing here, Troy Kosmynka. Really hope I didn't screw that up.
No, it's good.
Okay, good. Good. So he... I remember correctly, he is a Warman boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Warman, played for the Vipers as U15, and then played for the Wildcats through U18 team. He's not that, putting up high points kind of guy. He played for the Beardy Blackhawks. He had 9 points in 71 games. He's played 2 games with Kindersley in the SJ, and he's been, and he was... I would say he had about, with you guys, he's been with you for about, 2 years and a year and a half. And he's put up 25 points in 63 games. So what kind of game does Troy bring to the table?
Troy he's a quiet guy. He's a 2000, so he's a 20-year-old. He came into this season. He added some muscle. He's probably in the best shape of his life. He says, and he's a physical guy. He's not afraid to get into the rough stuff if he has to, and he's one of those guys who isn't afraid to step up if he needs to. He can play with a little bit of grit. I think over the years, with Beardy's and maybe his first year or so with us, he wouldn't have been slotting in on power plays and things like that. But with now he's on the top defensive pairing with Carter and playing lots of power play time, and he can shoot the puck. He's got a heavy shot. I think he's got 3 goals already in the first 5 games. Might be power play goals too, if I'm not mistaken. But he did play a couple games with Kindersley, but he got hurt, and that's sort of why that one season he didn't have as many games played as some of the other guys. So he came to us and kind of get back into shape and play a little bit. And I'm not sure if he had the opportunity to go back to Kindersley, but I know for a fact he's enjoying playing in Delisle. He plays fastball with Delisle, and so there was a lot of familiarity with the guys from Delisle, and as you mentioned before, I mean, there was quite a Beardy's flavor on our team. So I think we probably have, last year we probably had half a dozen guys who played with Beardy's at some point, and now we're probably at 3 or 4. So he's just a solid guy. He's quiet. He just leads by working hard, and he plays physical. That's Troy's game.
And that's what you need for number 1 defenseman on your team to play that physical game, still put up the points, be physical, keep that line, keep the puck out in your own zone when you need to, be physical in front of the net. And all that kind of that stuff that comes along with being a top D man on a junior hockey team. So, okay, now honestly my favorite part, because I was a goalie. We're going to talk about your goalie. Your number 1 starter looks like it's Tyler Peterson. He's a 19-year-old. Played for Beardy's.
Yeah.
Played for Martinsville. played in the Sask Valley Vipers as well. Same with Kosmynka. And it seems like he's been a solid tenny for you guys. This would have been this is his second year with the with you guys. So he's put up some good numbers. 249 goals against average and a 912 save percentage last year. And then already in this year, he's put up a 195 goals against average and a 929 save percentage. So definitely, obviously, only played 5 games for you guys. But what kind of game, what things do you like about Tyler? To have that number one, for it to be his net.
Tyler, he came in last year as an 18-year-old, and we kind of platooned a little bit between him and Seamus McLeod. He was our other goaltender. He is our other goaltender too. Again, you got a Beardy's tandem there. Both guys came from the Beardy's program. They shared the duties last year, and I think that again, that's just how Eric does things. Is the goalies will share that, and it'll just work its way out towards the end of the year, and maybe you start to ride the guy who's got the hot hand. I think last year, Tyler's record of 16-6 last year, he started out, and it's you're learning the shooters, you're learning the league, but I think by Christmas time, Tyler started to get on a bit of a roll, and he really started to make big saves when we needed him to. At the last month of the season, Seamus got called up by the Larange Ice Wolves, so he spent the last month in Larange, and Tyler kind of just took over. And I think that the more he played, the more confidence he gained, and he went into the playoffs, and he was 4-0 in the playoffs. A 0.69 goals against average. Only gave up 3 goals in 4 games. He had, I think, 1 or 2 shutouts, a 977 save percentage. So, for Tyler, I think he's just taken the ball and ran with it. Again, at the beginning of this season, it was, I think either of the goalies would probably tell you that they weren't really comfortable with how they started the season off this year. I think that they both probably felt like they weren't playing their best. In the last 2-game winning streak there, Tyler played phenomenal. And, they both give us a chance to win. But I think Tyler's really ran with his opportunities just because he's, with Seamus being out of town last year and playing in the SJ for a month or so, Tyler just made the best of his opportunities. And I think he continues to kind of do so right now. Again, it's hard to build consistency when you've only had 5 games and not a lot of practices, but you could see in that winning streak, and even in that 3rd game too, you could see where the confidence was starting to go up. And you mentioned before, we were losing games by 1 goal. So it's we were in every game. The goalies have kept us in, and Tyler, they both give us a chance to win for sure.
That's what you need, being a goalie and being in that situation and having all that pressure put on you, and having that confidence in your team that you'll be able to, we might not play very well one game, but at least you will keep us in the game. You'll give us a chance to win night in and night out, like you said, which is, and it seems like you have that 1-2 punch. So, either, you can put either of those goalies in, and like you said, give them a chance, give the Chiefs a chance to win every night. And that's honestly, I think every team would like that, and I don't know in this league if there's teams that, if you guys are playing 38 or 40 games a season, or, if there are teams out there playing their top guy 35 games and then plus the playoffs. I'm not sure.
I think most teams would probably be close to a 50-50 split, but there's a couple teams I would probably say that it's like a 75-25 kind of split. So if it works for them, I guess, hey.
And and it just, one of those things too, where you don't really want to tucker them out too early because you have the, if you are making that playoff push, or even I was kind of looking into the league there, and I like the league's little survival game, basically the shoe-in game to get into. Would that be the North semifinal? Or no, to play.
Yeah, there's been a Survivor Series over the years, and that's all if I believe it's that if the top 4 teams in either division would make the playoffs, and then if the 5th and 6th teams in one division are higher than the 5th place team in the other division, then the 5th and 6th place teams will have in the North will have like a Survivor Series. So the top 2 teams in the North would get a bye, and then those 5 and 6 would play a Survivor Series to see who moves on to play in the next round. So it adds a little bit more excitement for those teams to try to make that extra push to get in.
Well, and that's it's like that NHL feeling of the wild card, which essentially that's what it is.
Yeah.
So. Yep. So on that note, I know we just took a commercial break. We're going to take another commercial break because obviously, it's how we get paid here on the show. So, and it's everyone's favorite time of the show. So I like doing it a lot. But on that note of talking about the league a little bit, we are going to, when we come back, we're going to dabble and talk, dive into the PJHL as a league, talk about kind of what kind of development league it is, and also how people have responded to the creation of this league as well. So stay tuned.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West, located just inside the perimeter on Portage Avenue.
And welcome back here to the Sask Sports Show on Amateur Sports TV. I'm here with my lovely guest, Troy. We have been talking you're very lovely. We're talking some Delisle Chiefs of the PJHL, the Prairie Junior Hockey League. Getting to know the team a little bit. We spotlighted a bunch of their important players on the team. We had some defensemen, we had some forwards, we had their starting goalie as well. And now I want to get into, like I said at the top of the show, the Prairie Junior Hockey League was created from 2 leagues joining into one. The South Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League and the North Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League joining forces for that 2007-2008 season. You know what? I just want your thoughts and your opinion on how you thought the league is.
Well, I think that in my 7 years with the Chiefs, the league's changed a lot. It was stereotypical. Guys were saying they were playing in the Jungle Bee, fighting and all kinds of stuff like that. I think when I first started with Delisle 7 or 8 years ago, that was already sort of on the way out. There was still, the odd tussle and things like that. But I think from a developmental standpoint, the level of talent that's come into the league in the last, 4, 5, 6 years, it's a fast-paced game. It is a developmental league. There's 18-year-olds coming in that have played AAA or AA, sort of just looking to improve their game a little bit more to try to make that next step to Junior A. You have guys who have been playing Junior A that maybe have decided that, they want to go to school. So maybe coming into Saskatoon or maybe living in Saskatoon, they've decided that, they want to focus a little bit more on school or on work. And so now you've got guys with Junior A experience that are coming into the league. There's been some guys that have had WHL experience that have come into the league. I think you're seeing there's Western Hockey League flavor in terms of the coaching staffs. So I think as a whole, I think that the league's done a great job of bumping the talent level up and the coaching expertise, if you want to say. There's just so much more that it's come into the PJHL in the last 6 or 7 years, and I think it's a great game. And if people get a chance to watch it, they should really get it to the rink and watch the games.
And like you said, like all the different flavors of talent that you get, it's creating a more faster pace, more heavy on the skill kind of league. And would you say that, from when you started on the team, like the major number one difference that you've seen with the way that the game is being played?
I just think the skill level has gone way up. It's things. I just remember it was kind of slow and kind of, you didn't have the speed of the game, and maybe, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the guys who played before, because there was obviously some talented players in the league before that, they chose to maybe not go to the junior A route. But just in my experience of watching and seeing some of the players come through, it's, I think most of the teams historically, there was probably a lot of A players or double A players. And I think now you're starting to see a lot more triple A players playing in the league, and certainly some more junior A players playing in the league. And I just think, how could the overall game, the play and this pace and all that, how could it not go up?
Well, and it's nice too, like you've mentioned before, having those ties with some junior A clubs that, if you got to swap players, you got a guy that maybe needs a little bit more work, you're going to bring him down to, play for the Chiefs, and then you're going to bring another guy, yep, that's maybe been performing and working really hard and deserves that opportunity to switch. And do you see that a lot with some of the teams in your guys' league?
In terms of bringing players down from junior A kind of thing?
Yeah, just having that relationship with junior A teams to, have that, kind of switch or that swap kind of players.
I can, it's hard for me to speak about what other teams have done, but I mean, I know that, like I say, we've had players playing with Humboldt. We've had players playing with Kindersley. Last year we had, some guys playing with Larange. So, or I guess vice versa, some players that were from playing in Larange that came to play with us. So I think it works both ways. It helps us in terms of adding talent to our teams. It helps those junior A programs in terms of, I guess, having an opportunity to have a few more bodies around that they can draw from if they've got injuries. One of the situations is that in the past, when we've had guys playing with Kindersley or playing with Humboldt, they would still practice with the Broncos or with the Clippers every day. And then when it came time for games, they're playing with us, and they'd get to the practices when they could with us too. So, having those guys come in, again, it just brings the level of play up everywhere.
Well, that's good. Honestly, like we've talked about before, like you said, it was called, what did you say? The Jungle League?
The Jungle Bee.
Oh, the Jungle Bee.
Yeah.
And going from that name to a league that kids are more than happy to play in because it's so competitive. And, my next question kind of leads into the fact of, once these kids are done their playing career in the PJHL, what's the end goal of these players? Is it getting them scholarships, getting them kind of, playing junior A or in the WHL, or getting to the junior A to get to the WHL, go down into, play in Europe or in the States? Kind of what's your guys' mentality been with the next step for these players?
Well, in terms of our philosophy with the team, I know that, first and foremost, we want these guys to come and have fun. Mm-hmm. And if their goal is to get to junior A, or if their goal is to move on to college, Eric will work with. Eric's got a lot of, and in the past too, with other GMs we've had, they've got lots of connections with their scouting that they've done with guys who, and they know coaches and scouts with the junior A program. So, they'll do their best to try to get them tryouts or whatever, if that's what they want. Some guys are content to say, you know what, I'm prepared to start to be, my working career or university or whatever. I'm just content to play, but I still want to play in a game that's high level. So I'm happy playing here. But in terms of the players we've had, I mean, there's an example of a guy who is from Kindersley in Brody Ryberg, and he came and he played 1 year with us, and boom, the next year he was back to playing with the Clippers, and he played for the Clippers for the rest of his junior career. And so there's stories like that of guys who've come to us, and I can only speak about our team. I'm not sure the philosophies for some of the other programs, but yeah, our goal is just to make sure that they enjoy themselves and enjoy their time in Delisle. And if their goal is to move on to play junior A or college, then we'll help you get there as best we can.
And when you're talking about going on road trips and having that, it's that bonding time. You go on a road trip for a few games. On the other side of it, when you get to these small town rinks, obviously minus Regina and Saskatoon, obviously, but you go to these smaller town rinks like Carrot River or Assiniboia, or the smaller market ones. How important are these junior B teams for the town? That you can see when you come to the rink.
Well, I mean, we talked earlier about how it gives some of those local kids, an opportunity to, get to that U18 level. And if they're maybe not going to, I guess, progress to a AAA or something like that, they still want to play with the local team. Right. And, I mean, we've had a ton of kids in Delisle that have been our junior chief, where they've come out and skated with the Chiefs before the game and they get their jersey. And, our stick boy this last couple of years is a prime example. He's been sort of a water boy and then a stick boy, and then this year he was actually tried out for the team. So, in the small town, that's something for those kids to watch and grow up with, and they've enjoyed that. In Carrot River or places like that, it might be the only game in town. There might not be a senior hockey team to go and watch. I think over the few years that I've been, it's been 25 years probably since I played senior hockey, but I think you're starting to see that some of those smaller towns don't have those senior hockey teams anymore. So maybe in the smaller towns in our league, it is a big game, and the kids, it gives them something to aspire to do, to play for those teams.
Yeah, and you're exactly right too. Being a small town kid and you having a junior B team or a junior hockey team in your town, I think that's any kid's dream, is to go out and play for him and wear that sweater.
Mm-hmm.
But from what the research I've done, and obviously you have a lot more experience with this league than I do, it seems like this, that this league is very important to Saskatchewan. It is. And that kind of leads into my next question of, what are your thoughts on, that you've seen on how important it is to Saskatchewan to have a league like this below the SJ, and to have something like this in Saskatchewan for kids to fall back to if needed?
Well, I just think that, without it, there'd be that gap for kids who, they're done playing their minor hockey, and maybe they're not going to progress to junior A, or maybe they need more time to develop. I think it's just another opportunity for them to get some more time to develop. And maybe it's not even to junior A. Maybe their goal is to play senior hockey in their hometown or for the town next door. I mean, I think that this hockey just provides a lot of places around the province it provides those kids with another place to play. And, to progress. I think you will see some kids who have gone on to play like Division II or something like that in the States with, I know we had a goalie a couple of years ago, and he went down to Botno and played, in North Dakota. And now he's back coaching in our league, with the West Central Rage. So, it's little stories like that our league and our teams gave those kids, everybody's a kid to me, but they gave those kids, the opportunity to hone their game just a little bit more, to go to a place where they could get an education.
Yeah. And I preach this to everybody. I look at, NCAA basketball as a prime example, with these kids going one and out, one and done with their teams and going right to the NBA draft. And I'm like, you know what? I personally would rather take get an education out of it. And obviously that's the decision that they made at that point in time. What if they get hurt though? They have nothing else to fall back on, because they only spent a year in university. And it's like why I really I really love the WHL scholarship fund that they have. Every year that you play in the Dub, you get that 1 year of university paid for. So things like that, those little incentives to play hockey.
Yeah.
And they pay off in the end.
Yeah. And I know that Eric is always, like with our organizations, Eric's always told the kids that when it comes to school or when it comes to work, like if you've got studies that need to be done, that will always take priority over our team. So, we make sure we put the education and their life ahead of whatever it is that we're doing. And, when you can get to the rink and play, then you just come and have fun and do your thing. And
just to kind of finish things off here, you mentioned earlier in the show about how involved in the community the Chiefs are and how involved the community is with the Chiefs. What kind of things, what kind of community involvement programs or activities do you guys do outside of the hockey rink to get together with the community of Delisle?
In years previous to this, obviously it's a different kind of year, but I mentioned Amanda. She's kind of been somebody who I'm originally from Delisle, but I don't live in the town any longer. It's only a 20-minute drive for me, but somebody like Amanda, she was always good at kind of coordinating, getting the kids to the school to sort of, do little programs with the kids in the school. We have, I guess if you want to call it like a July 1st parade in town. And again, we've had players come and go into the parade and hand out candy, and, they're in their jerseys and kind of do a float like that. We try to do whatever appearances we can to be public. It's just such a different year now. It's really hard to, you want to be involved in the community, but right now there just isn't the opportunities to do that. Last year there was a big sports celebrity dinner in town, and so our organization, we had some players that went and volunteered as part of the crew for serving and cleaning up and things like that. So again, we're a big part of the rink, and we wanted to be involved. And so I know the guys from the town were very happy that our organization was a part of that. So we're just trying to, we're trying to be involved wherever we can be.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a great job. And you know what, from our conversation tonight, seems like, Delisle has really put together, I would call it a dynasty. We
got to win.
I know, but you know what? But in those, like I've said, in the 1 year, you guys did not make the playoffs, and that was the first year of the league. The rest of the year, you're 1-2. Yeah, you know what? You've gotten to the final and you've lost, or you've lost in the North Semi. But you know what? Every single year, it seems like that your team's getting better and better and better. So that means that, seems like the organization is finding those keys to your team to create those championship teams. Yeah, you know what? It hasn't happened now, but it will happen.
Yeah, we're hoping. So we'll just, nose to the grindstone and just keep working.
And you know what, Troy, I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And something I forgot to say in the beginning of the show is Troy is a fellow WABCer. Just
microphone. Go. Yeah, WABC grad from years back, way long ago. But yeah, it's awesome. I enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun there. I know there's probably lots of guys that are kind of around the ASTV and things like that that probably kind of came down that same path. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, you know what? It's great to talk to a fellow WABCer and just to talk about hockey and to learn about a league that, isn't probably as well known as, the WHL is in Saskatchewan or, the SJHL. But it sounds like it's a very competitive hockey league that, is producing some high caliber players.
Yep.
Play some good hockey too. So, you know what, Troy, it's been a honor and a pleasure to talk with you tonight. And
well, thanks for having me, JD. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed talking this too. I know I said it before. This is kind of what I live for, is junior hockey. So learning about this kind of stuff really gets me excited. So we'll have to get you on the show some other time.
Yeah, let's catch up again.
Yeah, and hopefully when the season gets started, we can get you on and maybe get you and Eric or some of the players on, and we can
for sure
talk about the season. But again, I will say it, Troy, thank you for being on the Sask Sports Show here with me tonight. So that concludes our episode of the Sask Sports Show here on Thursday, January 7th. I just wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsor of the show, Southwest Terminal. You guys have been great with sponsoring this Sask Sports Show. And make sure to tune in every Thursday night for the Sask Sports Show. And I'm your host, JD Hodden. So I hope you guys have a great evening. And let's start 2021 off with a bang. Have a good night, everyone.